Hello everyone, here's another supplemental lecture from Miss Herman. Things we didn't get to in class this week. I wanted to talk a little bit about the reaction for photosynthesis. We've seen some various diagrams of this, but I thought I wanted to sort of zoom in on the actual chemical reaction. If you were with me in chemistry last year, you saw some of these chips. So what I have is I am representing carbon atoms by this green chip, hydrogen with this yellow chip, and oxygen with this red chip. We know that for photosynthesis, plants take in carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is a molecule that we can draw something like this, that is carbon. Carbon makes 4 bonds, and it does 2 to this oxygen and 2 to this oxygen. Oxygen likes 2 bonds, so that works out well. This one is water, and it looks like I'm out of space up here, so I'm going to move these guys around. Actually, no, I'm going to put all my structures on the bottom. That makes sense. Let's do that. No, I didn't rehearse this. All right, so here's water. Oxygen makes 2 bonds, so it goes in the middle. It bonds to 2 hydrogens like this, hydrogen and hydrogen. Now, wait a minute, Miss Herman, how come you drew this one straight, and how come you drew this one in an angle? Again, if you had chemistry last year, you know that oxygen carries around a few extra electrons, and so those extra electrons hang out over here, and so they kind of get in the way of the hydrogens. In any case, when we're in biology, we are writing it this way, CO2. And so this 2 down here means I have 2 oxygens, and I have C for carbon. Always make sure that when you're writing CO2, you have your capital O as big as your C. Otherwise, it looks like cobalt, C with a little O, which is a completely different element that we're not talking about. This is written as H2O, so 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. Okay, when we've looked at this reaction in your readings, we see that we have these 2 things, and then a bunch of stuff happens. We are not in a college biochemistry course, so we're not going to look at every single one of these steps. The text scans that I give you certainly have this stuff, and they have all these steps. I don't need you to know any more than what I'm showing you now. All right, so here's what happens. I need energy from the sun. So when energy from the sun comes down, that's enough energy to break all of these bonds. So all of these come apart. So we break apart all the water bonds, we break apart all the carbon dioxide bonds, so everything gets broken apart, and I can only do that if I have energy to make that happen. All right, well now we're going to end up on the other side of the reaction. Hopefully, nope, that's exactly what I didn't want to have happen. Hey guys, don't get lost. Conservation of matter, very important. Get back on the sheet. Okay, I guess I'll pick them up and not slide them. All right, well now what we're going to do is we're going to rearrange these to make the products of photosynthesis. Can I keep that? I think I can just keep that on there. All right, so what do we get? Well, we make glucose. So glucose is a sugar. Sugars are called carbohydrates because they have carbon for carbo, and they have hydrate because they have lots and lots of hydrogen and oxygen on them. Glucose has this structure. So again, carbon makes 4 bonds. So for every one of these, we want to have, so this is like 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's attached to 4 things. C, H, C. All right, hang on. I'm going to get 4 of these on every carbon. And more oxygen. Wait, that's why I'm doing this wrong. Miss Herman, you maybe should start over. I'm not going to start over. It's really fun to watch Miss Herman struggle with this. All right, you can always fast forward till I get it finished. CH, CH, there's those hydrogens, carbon, 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 carbon. All right, this is an oxygen on that side, this oxygen's on this side. Why do you care, Miss Herman? There's a reason. There are actually many, 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 many kinds of sugars that all have 6 carbons, 6 oxygens, and 12 hydrogens. Eventually, I'm going to end up with a formula that looks like this. C6H12O6. And I'm going to end up with leftover oxygen on this side. Come here, paper. so I can get my oxygen on this side. 2 oxygen. So I have oxygen travels in pairs when it's a gas. So here I have 2, 4, 5, 6. How am I doing on this? 1 more oxygen goes down here. And then hydrogens fill in all the holes. So there's a hydrogen there, hydrogen here, hydrogen there, hydrogen here. Okay, so am I done? If I write this as a structural formula, this is C, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, O. This one goes C, and then I have OH, and I have OH, and I have OH, 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 and then some hydrogens. You can count along with me to make sure I didn't leave anybody off. Okay, great. So here is my structural formula. I've counted all my chips. Every chip that was over on the left has ended up over here on the right. So I end up with 1 glucose, C6H12O6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 oxygens. 6 oxygens, O2. Now, to give you an idea of what glucose really looks like, I have another model here. And this is a 3-dimensional representation. So here's the way this works. You can see I have a line of carbons here. And look, I have a line of carbons here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I could even orient them to match up with my picture if I'm really careful about it. And so here's the truth about glucose. It doesn't hang around like this. Notice that I have an oxygen here. Notice that I have an oxygen here that has a bond that it still wants to make, and I have a carbon here that has a bond it still wants to make. So glucose actually travels around as a ring and not a line like this. And this is important because when you see it in drawings, you see this little hexagon to tell you that's glucose. And so what's true about every sugar that we'll see, every sugar? Yeah, just about every sugar. It's a ring of carbons with an oxygen in one of the places, and then a bunch of OH hanging off the end. All right, so there we have our, oh, I can't quite get the oxygen in the picture, plus O2. All right, so Ms. Herman, we are studying photosynthesis, right? Photosynthesis. And the whole purpose is to synthesis. The whole purpose is to make sugar so that we can use it. Well, when we use it, what happens is we do the opposite going back. So photosynthesis goes this way. The companion to this is called cellular respiration. And this is when, I'm writing on tape there. And this is when we go in reverse. So I start with my carbon dioxide, I start with my sugar, and then through a bunch of steps, and again, that's beyond the scope of this course, what happens in every step, it goes the opposite direction. So I take all of these things that I made, and then I break them apart, and I end up back with carbon dioxide and oxygen. So all my atoms got broken apart from those molecules. They all end up over here, and you can follow along. And yes, conservation of mass is a thing. I end up with all my molecules back over here. If I had special effects, I could do this super fast, but I'm not going to because I don't have time for that. And it's always fun to listen to Ms. Herman talk, so here we go. So now I'm ending up with carbon dioxide again. So this is the carbon dioxide that you breathe out. And also what you breathe out is some water vapor. So here comes our carbon dioxide that after burning our sugar, we get these things back. So photosynthesis and cellular respiration are complementary processes. That is, they do the same thing in opposite directions. Okay, you can see them all on there. Last thing, photosynthesis, where does this happen? Chloroplast. This is a structure that is in plants and some algae. That's a green organelle in the cell. And then cellular respiration happens in mitochondrion. If I have one, mitochondrion, one. If I have multiple, then I would have mitochondria. Okay. Thanks for watching.